very nice of you.
So I have a ton of questions for you, but I like throwing some curveballs at the beginning before we get into the thing, which is, and upon researching and preparing for this Q&A, I read that you played, you jammed with Paul McCartney when you were 14 years old.
I did indeed, yes.
I mean, listen, most people don't get to jam with Paul McCartney even if they're amazing musicians, let alone when they're 14. So how did this happen?
Well, my father worked for Paul McCartney from 73 onwards, like joined on the Band and the Run album, was his tour manager and business manager. And we were just up in Scotland, I was about 14. Up in Scotland, they were doing Back to the Egg album. And they were watching a cut of the film Wings Over America. They filmed the American tour, and they were watching a cutback of that. And I watched about an hour of it, and I was starting to get a bit fidgety. And I was learning to play drums at the time, so I said to Steve Holly, can I go play some of your drums? They're all in the studio. There was 5 different drum kits. So I went and spent half an hour up on all the different drum kits. And at the end, about half an hour later, I'm down on this one drum kit, and I'm sitting there playing away on this thing, and I see Paul and Denny and Lawrence and everyone all come past the window and into the studio. I was like, oh, crikey. So I put the sticks down and started to walk out, and Paul went, no, stay. And then he picked up his bass, started playing, and we jammed. And we recorded 3 songs. It was like 3 tunes, wherever we jammed, they recorded it, and I have a cassette. Still have it.
That's insane and amazing, and I'm riddled with jealousy.
Yeah, I got some, I don't want to talk about that all the whole time, but there is one fabulous memory. I can still visualize it, where I was doing something, and he just stared at me, and he went, use your tom-toms. I'm like, yeah, all right, Paul, I'll do whatever you say, mate. So, yeah, it was great. Anyway.
Okay, the other thing that I read is that you were a studio engineer, and you got to work with George Michael on Last Christmas and Careless Whisper, and you worked with A-ha with Take On Me.
Yeah, we did. We mixed that. Yeah, I didn't see the band, but we mixed that. I worked in a studio in London. I was a tape op and started to engineer. I worked at Trident Studios and Advision. And, George Michael came into Advision, and they did Last Christmas. He had the Linn drum programmed and some stuff already recorded, which we transferred, and then they did that. He liked the microphone that we had. There was a specific Sony microphone we used, and he really loved that. So he came back to do Careless Whisper. And I think they mixed it at Air Studios, but we did the recording at Advision.
You directed 2 episodes a few years ago of a UFO show.
Correct, yes.
And so I'm curious, as someone who has obviously studied UFOs and making the directing, do you believe that aliens have visited the planet, or do you believe, you know what I mean? Like, do you believe in UFOs, or do you think everything can be explained?
Well, having done these 2 shows, I always have believed in something that we don't know. You want to wish that interplanetary, like Star Trek, you can fly from place to place. You want to wish that's possible, so you have that desire for that to be true. But people have seen them. My wife has had 2 experiences where she's like things you cannot explain. So I definitely believe people are seeing something. What they are, I don't know. If it's aliens, I have no idea. But I definitely believe there's something that we don't understand going on.
Thank you for indulging my curveballs. Jumping into why we're here.
Sure.
So talk a little bit about how this, and a little generic, but how did this project happen? Was it something that, give us some background?
Well, I think the project was the brainchild of Rob Stone and Greg Waldridge, boss Greg Waldridge, who's in the film. Rob was one of the producers of the film as well. They had made a film together in 1990, 1991 called Blue Angels Around America. And that followed the Blue Angels through they went to Russia and everything. They did this whole thing. And Boss and Rob had stayed friends the whole time since. So they wanted to make a film about the 75th anniversary of the Blue Angels. So they started pitching this about 4 or 5 years ago, trying to get together. They hooked up with Glenn Powell, who then hooked up with JJ and Bad Robot, and they were working with Glenn and Sean Sutter Road. So they all got together, and then we had just done that UFO show, and this opportunity came about, probably sitting in the right seat at the right time. And I was like, well, hey, do you want to do this? So I was like, I think so, yes. I couldn't believe, though, to have an opportunity like this. I didn't really feel like it was, you know, I was surprised they went for me. I'm not probably most people's first choice that you would have thought for a big action movie. Although, you know, the films I have worked on, like Formula One and Riding Giants and things like that, they were definitely big action films in their own right. But the opportunity to do this, and then to the year that followed, you know, it was very quick. We were like, August, do you want to do it? Yes. September, we're meeting them. October, we met them again, and then January, we're off to El Centro, and we're doing it. And that was incredible to, you know, start.
I'm just thinking about how quick that is. What kind of crew, like, I know you obviously had a lot of people working on this film, but what was the crew like? How many people did you actually have for the year that you were embedded, essentially?
Well, we had at least 1 or 2 camera people. I would always prefer to have 2, you know, for the shoot, so we could have someone with a handheld device and someone with sticks, because there's just so much to cover. And the crucial thing about it is that we don't get to tell them, hey, can you shoot that again? Can you go back and do that one more time? You just get them in the day when they're doing their walk down, when they're doing their briefs, their debriefs, or any action that's happening. It's just in the moment. So you get one shot at it every day. So you've just got your few days. So you want to hope the weather's the same. At least they do everything at the same time every day. So if you're going to shoot, okay, we'll do the walk down here. We can get it from 3-4 different angles. But hopefully the weather's the same. So it will all cut at the same time in a good fashion for us. So those are some of the hindrances. But we had 2 camera people. Well, obviously, then you've got the camera team as well, who focus and everything, prepare the cameras. You got your sound department, which is 1 person for sound, producer in the field. So it was about 6 of us at least. But if we were on big days where we'd have 2 or 3 or 4 cameras because we wanted to get, you know, big show important moments, so then we might be a crew of about 10. That's in the field, right, rocking during the shoots. But obviously, it was much like the Blue Angels. It's a massive team of 140 people, almost, it feels like. But it's so crucial that they all did their jobs so well. The team was so good from top to bottom that, you know, you see it on the screen. It's just, you know, it needs everybody to be at the same A game in order for us to deliver stuff like that. But we also, in that process from August to January, we got in touch with Kevin LaRosa and Michael Fitzmaurice, who were the air crew who had done Top Gun Maverick, and spoke to them and asked them, like, what about options can we do? What could we afford for the budget? We want to be able to do this. We want to be able to do that. Get them on board and give us all the do's and don'ts that we can, and then take that to the Navy, get them approved by the Navy, so then we can then book the time to actually get out and put a helicopter in the formation, which no one's ever done before. So a lot of those things that, you know, shots that you see, no one's ever been able to shoot that because they'd never allowed, especially a commercial helicopter, to be in that formation. So that was pretty spectacular too.
When you think back on the shoot, which shot ended up being the real pain in the ass, or the one that you had to fight for or go through red tape, or, you know, the one that you still can't believe's in the movie?
Well, I don't know. That's a tough one. I guess the one that was really tough to get for no other reason that I just couldn't seem to find the right time, because I wanted it either a sunset to cheat for sunrise shot or a sunrise shot. So very early on when we got to Pensacola, we're hanging out. We got the cameras all set up in the hangar, and the humidity was crazy. So you had to get the cameras outside as quickly as you could so they could acclimatize and you didn't get condensation on the lenses. But we were in there prepping, and it was very, very early in the morning, and the hangar door opens, and it reveals, you know, Fat Albert and then the 6 jets, and it's beautiful golden sunrise. And I'm like, I'm getting that shot. That's the shot I'm getting. So from then on, I didn't get it. I got it the last week we were filming. I got it on the penultimate day. I actually was able to go like, guys, I don't care. I'm staying here with the camera on my own if we're doing this. And we did it at night. and I got the shot I wanted, and everyone started to wait. And what was really brilliant was Brian Arby, who was Mo. He's briefly in the film. He's the maintenance officer. He really got those jets together, because what happens a lot of the time is those jets, something will go wrong and they'll change jet to the, like the 2 jet will fail and they'll put the number 7 jet. So when they line them up, it might not be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 on the tails. So he made sure we had the 6 jets out there and nothing else was blocking the view. He was all into it. I'd explained to him the shot I wanted. He was really helpful in getting that, and that was really, it was unnecessary, but it was a very difficult shot to get just for timing, because we were so, our schedule was so tight all the time. We never had, we always had shots on the shot list that we didn't get done every time. So adding this shot to the list was always like difficult for people to get, but anyway, we got it. And it's near the beginning of the film.
So one of the things I'm fascinated by is the editing process, and that's because that's where it all comes together. And in a film like this, it's really where it comes together. Mm-hmm. So talk a little bit about, like, how long was your first cut of this film? Like, did you have a cut that was 3 hours and you're like, this is great?
We think it was about two and change, the first one. I think what was, and it was great. We had a brilliant editing team that cut this. I just was, so pleased to work with these guys. They're both American cinema editors themselves, and it was. I left it in their hands to start with, because I was so close to the footage, and there were certain things I wanted to do that I can. Well, those shots I want to get in there, I can get them in later. Let me see what people like when I'm an editor and I'm working with somebody else's footage, right? I feel I may view it in a way that they've not perceived, or I may want to put the shots together in a way that wasn't originally conceived. And so it's good to see what other people can bring, to the thing. So with James and Kevin, they were. I let them. I gave them my sensibilities. Hey, this is how I like to do things. I like to cut it like this. I like the music to lead us as much as possible. I gave them a few things that I would like them to try, and then I let them go, and then we worked together, and I started coming in after each section was built. I not helped them, but I adjusted some things that I had in my head, and that shot I was thinking about going here, I can do that right here, and add and plop some things in, and discuss with them, how to make these things work. So it was, quite a process, because there's so much going on. And what happens when you watch the long cut, while it's interesting and exciting and everything, there's a routine happening here every day, the same routine. Nothing changes. The only thing that changes is occasionally you change locations, but they're doing the same thing. They're getting up, they're having a brief, they're having a debrief, doing a show or doing a practice, debrief, leave, go home, come back the next day, same thing. Come back the day, same thing. So when you watch that in the film, that starts to become a bit laborious. So you have to find ways of keeping the audience engaged, keeping the film flowing and moving forward, and not feel repetitive, and get through those moments in that fashion. So the edit was a little tricky, finding the right things to cut out, and very difficult cutting things out that really didn't want to cut out.
That's what I wanted to ask you about. Like, what was the storyline or the thing that you had that you were like, oh, I can't believe I'm going to have to get rid of this, but it just doesn't serve it. We just have to get rid of it.
I think it was more about getting more of the voices in of the sections we had of the enlisted folks, and not the pilots, a little bit more of their stories. When we tracked off, it was hard. You kind of were setting up a few too many storylines to track, and it was getting off the point of what was making it easy to flow. It suddenly stopped flowing for a minute, and then when you got back to the jets and everything, it was flowing again better. So we had to cut some of those scenes out, which is a real shame. There's a great thing. The crew chief for Boss, he's a DJ, and he would put. So when they got to El Centro the first time, room 19 he was in, and he put all these coloured lights up, and he started jamming his tunes, and everyone's hearing the music. Hey, what's going on? It's in Kevin's room. So they all go over to Kevin's room. They have a little party starts, and so then next night, room 19, everybody. So they all went to room 19. Then on the road, they get to the first hotel, and he gets given room 19. So like, guess we're partying tonight. So we had all this footage of them just having a real fun time, and you could always see his hotel room from the street. If you walk past the hotel room, it's like there's one room that's just coloured lights going on all the time, 24/7. He just had them going on all the time. That's Kevin's room. So that was a shame that I couldn't include that. And he had a single out that year. He made a song about COVID. And he sings it like a cappella version right there at the end. That's what he's doing in front of the lads on the last day. But that was a shame that we couldn't get some of that stuff. A couple of the other people got married. One of the pilots had a baby. I wanted to get a bit more of those things in, but again, it was just there wasn't a real fit for it with everything else we were doing.
When you were shooting and editing, was there anything that was off limits? Was there, before you started shooting, did the Navy say, you can do this till this point, or was it?
No, I think the key was there were times when we were shooting, the jets would, one of the jets would have a problem in the air, so it would land, and there'd only be 5 in the formation. And they didn't want us to use any of those shots with the formation. That happened on one of the helicopter days when we were at 10,000 feet. So we shot day 1 at 5,000 and day 2 at 10,000, so we could get the 2 different perspectives. And sadly, number 4 jet had an issue and dropped out for about 6 of the maneuvers. So we lost some of the really good stuff of the Diamond coming over. That we have a great shot of it in the 3, but we couldn't use it. So we considered CGIing in the 4th, like no, didn't want to do that. And then there were certain moments where, like, again, when you got a day full of repetition, when something unrepetitive happens, like someone's in trouble, or we're like, get the cameras rolling, it's like, no, you can't. So, there's certain things, certain protocols, certain things that happen behind closed doors that were just, for whatever reason, security reasons, whatever, they just stay behind closed doors.
Yeah, I mean, this is, I can understand their perspective. They want to put out the best the best version, but there's also that element of, well, this is really happening.
Yeah, no, and I think one of the most fun things that I experienced was in the first weeks in El Centro. So Fat Albert, you saw the jet Fat Albert, which is the big C-130. They have a little doll on the front of the plane, which we had to paint out actually for the film, but it's this little Hawaiian motif. So whenever they get on the road, when they get to the first night, they find a nice location, and they all go and dress in Hawaiian shirts, and they all go out to the bar, and they just have a whole night together, the crew. Hey, first night on the road, here we go. At every location on the Thursday night, is called Burt Night. So the first time I was in El Centro, it's essentially they're on the road, so it was a Thursday night, and Burt Night, I walked into the bar, and they're all dressed in Hawaiian shirts. I'm like, is this what sailors wear when they're not? Is this the fashion? Okay, all right, fair enough. So and then I found out what it was, and then what happens is let me take my coin out here. Excuse my phone. I have this fabulous coin that I was given to by Boss Kesselring, and he flew this in his jet while he was up there during his last week. This was in his jet with him, and then he got one for a lot of us in the crew and gave us one. But your Blue Angels coin you're supposed to have on you all the time, right? It's taboo to not have it. So what will happen in the bar is they'll start tapping. Someone will just start doing that, and everyone has to get their coin out and do it. And if you don't have your coin, you have to do a forfeit. Now, the forfeit usually in most of the times involves buying everybody a round of drinks. And if everybody has their coin, whoever started it, they have to do the forfeit. So I saw this moment happen, and I was just like, gotta shoot this. Wouldn't let me shoot it. Couldn't shoot it. Like all the time. There was one time we were in there with the cameras doing something else, and it started, and I was just like, Jess. She's like, I'm rolling. Like, great. And somebody came in and went, no, shut it down. Cameras are here. Don't. So stopped it, and then came back and said, oh, you can do it after all. So, well, It's not happening. So that was a shame that we didn't capture that, because that was just a real nice camaraderie moment, things that they do where they're on the road, and also shows, the importance of, of the coins and these sort of little routines and things that have gone on for years and years. It's really fantastic.
Yeah, I apologize. They're not called challenge coins. What's the term? Does anyone know what?
You got me there. I should know this.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I wasn't. I guess I wasn't.
There you go.
Yeah, off base. When you looked at the shooting schedule, what day did you have circled in terms of I cannot wait to film this? And was there anything circled in terms of how the F are we going to film this?
There was like, how are we going to? What I was worried about was putting the cameras on the floor, looking up all the time, because that's the view we all get if we go to a show. So I wanted to get the cameras higher as much as we could. Then when can we do the helicopter? How can we do the helicopter? Will we get to do the helicopter? So once we knew when we were going to do that, that was the shoot I was looking forward to most. And then the pylon shoot was another thing, because to attach a Venice camera to the wing of one of the planes or to the undercarriage of the plane, you have to have the right equipment. It fits on where the missiles would attach. So that has to be machined and engineered and approved by the Navy upstairs, 10 levels and everything. So we would never have had the time or the budget to be able to meet that schedule. And we were thankfully able to find the ones that they use on Maverick, Top Gun Maverick. They attached those ones. They got lost in the mix, so they were like missing. They were there somewhere. Someone knows where they are, but couldn't find. Anyway, our brilliant producer team found them, and we were able to use that. So that was another day that I was very excited about, because that was, again, hadn't been done in this fashion, not with these cameras. So that was quite cool. And what was really cool was Bob Benson, who flew it, he didn't have a monitor to watch. So we lined the cameras up. We had a monitor out in the field. We stood in sort of like center of screen, and he drew with pencil on his visor of the jet. Okay, that's cross here, cross there, this maneuver from there to there. So, and where it would cross. So he flew on everything and shot everything that he did using that as his sort of his own little version of a monitor. So that was pretty wild.
Yeah, low-tech video village.
Exactly.
I'm just thinking about that, and I got lost in my train of thought. So, I wanted to talk about IMAX. I'm like, what am I thinking? We're in this amazing IMAX theater, and I wanted to know, what was it like, shooting in IMAX and editing, and because it looks spectacular, watching it on the big screen.
Well, obviously, some of the editing techniques that you might be able to do for TV, you have to rethink a little bit for the big screen. You can fast cut on there, but you don't want to. You want to sort of let the audience as much as they can immerse themselves in some of the images on the screen. So you have to consider that. The other thing, of course, is that you've got to use Venice cameras to shoot the quality good enough for these. So you can't just pick up your camera and go grab footage like on the fly. It's a big, heavy camera. It takes a lot to get it in place, a lot to get it running. Batteries are really difficult. You can't get them in the cockpit. They're too heavy. You'd have to break them down. We weren't able to do what they could do in Top Gun because they had front seat, back seats, and they could find a place for it. We're in single seaters, so we had to use the smaller RXO camera in order to be able to get, which is sort of like a GoPro but much better quality. We were able to use those and place those to get the cockpit stuff. But the Venice camera did, is cumbersome, so it did create some issues. And even the handheld stuff, Mike Fitzmaurice is strong as an oxman, but you watch him walking around trying to track all the stuff, and he was struggling. It's a difficult thing to carry, and they would, he'd have it on his shoulders or be doing it for like 30 minutes. It's insane workout in Pensacola with crazy humidity as well. So you're just bucketing sweat. It was like the crew were incredible.
What do you think would surprise fans in this theater to learn about the making of the film that they might not know?
God, what would surprise them? I don't really know.
It's another curveball question.
Yeah, that is pretty much. I don't know what surprise them. I mean, I guess, getting what you get to see really is just being able to watch this, be that close. You guys have now seen it, you know, to be in the cockpit with them, to be have the perception of like a jet plane right over your head. You know, one of the wings is 12 inches. You could touch it if you were sitting in that cockpit. Those sort of angles, that being in a place you've never been before, you know, and seeing a jet come at you at full speed, you know, almost the speed of sound that flies right overhead from the pier. You know, that stuff that's just exhilarating. I don't know if it's so much as a surprise, but hopefully the film fulfills the exhilaration and captures the essence and the beauty and the dedication to perfection that the Blue Angels is all about. That's really what we really wanted to get at the end of the day. I mean, these guys were just so incredible to be around, so inspiring to be around. I was inspired to be on the base. I'm a rebel. You know, you tell me to slow down, I'm speeding up. You tell me to be quiet, I'm getting louder. You know, I don't respond to authority or telling me what to do at all. I was completely and utterly taken in by the Army base and the attitude to everybody on the base. That completely grabbed me emotionally. I was really moved, as I say. So hopefully, you know, all of that hopefully is in the film, and you get a bit of that. One of the fun moments, though, is with that shot where when they're doing the sneak pass and the jet comes over us, over the camera. We were on the pier, so that goes 50 feet off the ground. It sneaks past the audience just under the speed of sound, so it doesn't break the windows. And it was coming right at us. We were on the pier by the yellow flag where it's like its marker is, and it's just coming right out. And we're 25 feet off the ocean, so it's now 25 feet from us. And you're just staring this thing down as it, you know, it's a dot, and suddenly it's huge, and suddenly it's, you know, you're getting squashed by the air. And Mike, who was shooting the first day, he's sort of like, I was videoing it with my phone, and he turns around and he goes, "That was cool," and he points his camera. And the next day we did it with Destin, who's one of the local crew, a company called Lency, who were fantastic. The whole team, the support team that we got from them was just unbelievable. So poor Destin's on it the next day, and he's not so seasoned. You know, Mike Fitzmaurice has done Batman and a whole bunch of movies like that where there's lots of explosions and stuff going on, and he's in the middle of car chases. Destin's face, after it went by, and I've got his face, he's just like... And then someone goes, "You all right?" He goes, "Yeah, oh, fine, thanks." He's totally, you know, he was not expecting that at all. It was great.
I really want to talk about in the third act of the film when you have the shot of all of them so close together.
The Yankee set, yeah.
Yeah, it's so, I could never do something like that, be a pilot and doing that. Talk a little bit about watching that footage for the first time and realizing just how close they are and how incredible they are as pilots.
That was what was brilliant. When we got the footage in, especially the cockpit footage, and got that back from all of them, that was, you know, watching it all and getting to that moment where they do the Diamond 360, and it was in Pensacola, I think, the first time. We had the 360 cam and Chomps' jet, so we're looking right at them, and I suddenly got a sense of like, you got to be kidding me, because you've got to imagine they're not only going 400 miles an hour, like however many ton jets they are, but they're dealing with all the wind shear, you know, and you're over the ocean, especially in these sections over Pensacola, so you've got wind, ocean, you know, whatever sort of, you know, ocean wind, I should say. All that stuff is going on, as well as the jet turbulence that they're doing. And it's just, you know, it's mind-blowing. I was trying to figure out, is it touching the, I was going frame by frame. Does it touch? No, it doesn't, does it? But it looks like it is. You just can't imagine that they're that close together. And it was just mind-blowing. So that was really exciting, you know, to get the look-back camera then on the Venice. And in what was really good was we had the helicopter and the pylon stuff that we did with the Venice. That was all shot later in the season. So they were doing the Diamond 360. They were at the Yankee set by now. So we were able to get all that with those cameras as well. The helicopter shot was getting it. They were doing it at that point. So that was just amazing, and to be able to try and get the audience into it and, you know, see it from every angle and get the sense of how, you know, they're off their heads. It's mad.
It's honestly so impressive.
Yeah,
but
it makes you feel good. These guys are like out there protecting us when they're not flying for the Blue Angels. They're back in the Navy. They're the ones that are out there protecting the country. So you're like, we're in good hands.
100%.
Yeah,
I like that. Before I run out of time with you, which is we're almost out of time, you edited, I believe, a upcoming Jim Henson documentary.
I did. Yes.
And I'm a huge Jim Henson fan, and Ron Howard directed that, and you worked with him previously on the Beatles.
Yeah.
So talk a little bit about what this doc is about and why you wanted to be involved.
It's about an hour and a half. It's about Jim Henson. It's his life story. It's a very comprehensive look at his life, his family, all his work. It was an absolute pleasure to work on. I don't want to say too much because the press for that is in its own window. But that was an absolute honor to work on that and to be able to work with all that footage. Absolutely incredible, and another really good film that I'm very, very proud of. So that was a pleasure to work with. I have to say, it's funny, it's sad, it's all of the things that Jim brings. It's a Ron Howard film, so it has all that going for it, and he delivers. Frank Oz is amazing in it.
Yeah, this Frank guy, he's okay.
Yeah.
You also edited Tolstoy the Tomato Thief.
We're in the middle of that right now.
Yeah, so for people that don't realize, there's an elephant in this.
Yes, this is about an elephant that steals tomatoes from the farmers. They're super tusker elephants. So it's actually quite a sad story because it's a human-wildlife conflict that you've got going on here. And they are trying to protect the super tuskers. When we started the film, there was 24 left in the world. There's only 20 now. They got basically the nomadic Maasai have stopped moving around, so they've now been forced to settle, and they build farms for their food. And the elephants used to graze through this particular area. They've now come across all these farms which are full of tomatoes, and they love the tomatoes. So they're coming in and stealing the tomatoes. The farmers are trying to chase them off. They're spearing the elephants, so they're getting hurt or getting killed. The elephants are charging the farmers, so they're getting killed. So there's this really rotten situation that they're trying to figure out the coexistence of. And that basically, through the eyes of a child, we get to see the progress that has been made in the last few years.
And I absolutely want to see this. When is it coming out?
Soon.
Are you trying to say that it could be later this year?
What are you doing in 2025?
What are you all doing in 2025 is the question.
Yeah.
I also read...
I wish it would be later this year. But
I'll hopefully be around in 2025, and I will watch it. I also read that you directed 2 episodes of an untitled show. I don't know if this is accurate or...
Yeah, we're in the middle of that as well. So that's the latest project I'm working on. But again, with Bad Robot and a lot of the same people that we did this film with.
Right. So I'm curious. It's untitled, and when I read about it, does it have a title now?
It doesn't. No, we're still working on it. Still untitled, and we don't even know what we're making. It's just like just a show about nothing right now. No.
Right.
It's we're figuring it all out. It's.
Is it like a show like UFO, or is it more like a documentary?
In that vein, probably sort of like a bit more paranormal or something, a bit more like some UFO stuff and other sort of out of body experiences and things like that. Something a bit more that kind of thing.
It's interesting that I started this with UFO and it's ending with a little supernatural. But you edit a lot. You work on a lot of different things. Yeah. Are there things that you're also editing right now that I do not know about, or is it you're focused on this?
No, I'm just focused on these things at the minute. I've been, I did a couple of shorts last year, one about the Nicholas brothers, which I really, really like a lot, which we made for Pepsi, and it played at Tribeca last year, and that's really fun. They were an incredible duo. But no, I've got a handful of things coming up now that we're sort of like talking about organising for future projects, but focusing on these 2 films at the minute, and especially the Blue Angels. I mean, I have to say this is like it became like, it started off as a project that I was very excited about getting into, but then when you spend a year on the road with these people, the best part of a year with all of them, the whole crew, and all the people that you worked with through that. It was so hard to end. It was like when they're end of season, when they've got to do the drop of salute. It kind of felt like that. It's like, now, man, we don't get to do this anymore. That was, heartbreaking. I really have a great relationship with a lot of the pilots and the people still. I try and stay in touch with as many of them as I can. And they were just so welcoming to us. If you think about people who are doing a routine every day, right? This is what they do. They get in and they're expecting to see this every time they turn around a corner or walk through a door. And suddenly you've got these huge cameras and this crews there that they're not expecting to see. You'd think that would upset their routine enough where it could be like, they're here again. How long is this going on for? But there was never that. They loved seeing us. They absolutely loved having us there. There was a smile on their face. They were on first name basis with all of us. They gave us all nicknames, some of us, and it was so much fun.
What was your nickname?
I was Pool. So yes, a long story about English American accent. If you ask me my name and I say it in English, Paul. They go, who's Pooh? Pooh? Cool? No, Paul. Oh, Paul. So I was telling them that story, and they said, oh, well, we're going to call you Pool. So I got Pool. And then, Bridget Top, she got called Big Top. And Jessica, she got called Boots because she always wears big boots. So there was that kind of thing going on. It's kind of funny. So that was really nice. And then the other thing is, so, when you walk in, you see the Blue Angels, it's like seeing the Beatles, right? So while the faces change, you see those blue suits, and they're just so iconic. So I walk in on day one, and there they are, all in their blue suits, and I'm just like, God, I'm so nervous. Oh, yeah, how's it going? And they're all like, hey, Paul, how's it going? And I'm like, wow, what's going on? You were in Flogging Molly, weren't you? I was like, oh, yeah, I was. Like, early days, I was, yes. I love Flogging Molly, man. He was in Flogging Molly. So they had this sort of like fanboy thing for me when I was like, no, I'm fanboying for you. You can't fanboy me. I'm totally confused. But that really got us in a very relaxed situation very early on, which just snowballed. Everybody got on with each other so well. And that was the most important thing, and the thing we really had to do in order to be able to make this film. As they say in the movie, right, it's all about trust. They have to trust each other to be able to fly that close to each other. Everybody has to be able to trust everyone doing their job. They get in the planes, they don't check them, they just turn them on and go because they trust everybody. That's the same with them and us. For them to be able to talk to us, to allow us to shoot the things we wanted to do, we had to gain their trust. And that took a while for us from what we were able to do at the beginning to what we were able to do and ask for at the end. We embedded with them so much. We went out to dinner with them. I played darts with Chomps every chance I got. We were playing darts. I never won one game. He was like, oh, I can kind of play. I was like, oh, really? You can kind of play. I'm glad we're not betting money. But he was fantastic. We went out with over to Alison's house and Cheese went to their place. Found out that when they were pregnant, Chewy makes the best steaks. Oh my God. He's got one of those green egg things. He makes the best food. He was fantastic. So we got to hang with their families. We got to hang out with them a lot. And that was really a big part of what made us be able to get so much of this footage, was that they really did trust the process. They trusted what we were doing, and that they knew they were in good hands with us, that we had everybody's best interests at heart. So that was, that was a wonderful thing, and it's something I'll always take with me, that they gave us that trust.
Ladies and gentlemen, on May 17th, The Blue Angels will be in IMAX theaters for 1 week exclusively before being on Prime Video. If you happen to be on social media and you enjoyed the movie, please spread the word. And outside of that, ladies and gentlemen, Paul Crowder.
Thank you very much. Enjoy the film. Thank you.